moving straight into the minutes of the TAG. For anybody watching, TAG is Traffic Advisory Group. And first hand is Councillor Paddy McCartan.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks for that report. I note this time 79 items have been dealt with, and I want to compliment the TAG for doing that. On the other hand, the first item was a query about a yellow box on Leeson Street Lower, and the request was made 6 years ago this week, 2018. So I'm just wondering, by the end of the term of this council, how many other applications are dating back that far? Because if you're doing 79 at each month, or somewhere near that, we should be in a position to be up to date. I would recommend, Chair, that if this council area committee could sign off with a clean sheet and the information conveyed to our erstwhile colleague, Councillor Mary Freehill, that it would be an achievement by the TAG group. Thank you.
Thanks, Paddy. I think the only way is for you to run again, Paddy, and ensure that we deliver on these things. I have Councillor Mannix Flynn, Tara DC, that's me next, and that's it so far. Okay, Mannix, yeah.
Thanks very much.
Mannix and Tara.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just a matter that I raised over the past number of weeks and indeed the past year in relation to the safe zones, the safe school zones at St. Enda's School there at Whiteforest Street. I've asked a number of times for a report on that and I haven't received anything. And also in relation to the matter that was raised and agreed upon in relation to traffic mitigating measures at York Street, Mercer Street, South King Street area, which is now chock-a-block with cars coming out of the car park, cars trying to get onto lower Georgia Street, Ainger Street. And it's very, very dangerous for children. And the area is very, very badly lit because Dunstores, which has the shop there on Lower Mercer Street, a big supermarket, there's no window display, so there's no light hitting the street. So it's very, very difficult, particularly at rush hour, but it's also a rat run. And I was asking what kind of progress was taking place there. And also in terms of Diggs Lane, the road surface there seems to have fallen, which is resulting in huge flooding, as is the same laneway beside Mercer House Flats and York Street Flats, the laneway that runs into Ainger Street. Huge flooding there over the past while. Seems to be the road has collapsed a little bit there. But if those can be addressed, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Chairman.
Thanks, Mannix. Tara?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, the first one, I was happy I submitted a question just about Cashmere Avenue, and the reply was that double yellows will be put in place. But can I get a rough time frame in terms of when that's going to happen? Because refuse isn't being able to be collected, and they're worried in terms of emergency services. So if I could get a time frame for that before the end of the meeting. And I'm conscious there's a motion. We have a motion to discuss as well. But is there any, Neil, has there been any timetable put in place in terms of any of the traffic calming measures for the Crumlin Road, or what's the schedule looking like at the moment? Where are we with that? So that's all. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Tara. Pat Dunn? Pat Dunn?
I didn't realise I was on that quick. There was an issue there in Harold's Cross where the developer put some fencing up and removed the Sheffield stands. So I think it's 190 Harold's Cross Road, and I'll come back with the exact address. If we could ensure that the developer puts the Sheffield stands back up.
Thanks, Pat. Claire Byrne?
I'm actually coming in with a positive comment after nearly 2 years. Thank you for recommending traffic calming on Grattan Street. This is just a really, really great result. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Claire. Carolyn Moore?
Thanks, Chair. It's just about last year we met with, myself and Councillor Dunn met with Neil and visited a few areas around Crumlin where we'd been kind of dealing with this issue of requests for double yellow lines on corners, and that not being possible for the council to implement. So there's a couple of items on this TAG report where people have specifically requested double yellow lines on corners, and they've been sort of recommended but not really, because it's going to look at the continuous white line with the stop sign instead. Item 11, Kildare Park, they've not recommended the double yellow lines but referred to the fact that the continuous white line and stop sign has been installed here previously. So does this request for double yellow lines indicate that this measure isn't typically being effective, or do Neil or Colm have any sort of feedback on how that's going in terms of actually being an effective preventative measure for the parking on corners, which is causing all sorts of issues? Thanks.
Thanks, Carolyn. On myself then, just to join with other people in welcoming the volume of work, and there's a lot of items in there that I really welcome. I'm not going to go into them because it just takes some time. There's about 10 items in there that I think are really positive. However, on the negatives, just if I go back to 22, and that's the removal of a parking bay on Greenfield Road, which I was seeking and which you're recommending. But the second part of that was to remove one parking bay at the entrance to Nutley Square, which is also on that road. And I just will point out, so one of the reasons why the workload is heavy, this was down on the agenda at least 3 times. I know there was at least 2 visits to the area, and there was also further conversations. The work would be speeded up, you know, if sometimes you listen to councillors. Like, we do actually know our areas, and we know why we're putting in requests. And it may not always be clear from an engineering point of view, but they are real and they're clear. So if I could welcome us and welcome all the work, but also ask that you go back out, and I see Neil is smiling there on the screen. If you could go back out to Greenfield Park and just have a look at that other parking bay that we're asking to be removed. It's simply to make vision easier, and it's not a road where there's any shortage of parking, so it inconveniences nobody. And the last item is just, I had just a text just immediately before the meeting. The disabled bay outside Burns Pharmacy on Marion Road has been removed in the last while, and nobody can understand why that has taken place. Like, there's parking there, there's a disabled bay there. If you could let me know why it was taken out, and have a look at putting it back, is the obvious other part of that question. Okay, anybody else?
Chair, could I just clarify that address that I gave for the Sheffield stands? 199 to 201 Harold's Cross Road.
Okay, I'm taking nobody else on the screen wants to come in. Okay, back to you.
Yeah, I'll just jump in first, and maybe Neil might comment on some of the other issues there as well. Just on the status reports, we are trying to revise them. I think I've said before, we're trying to make them more meaningful to also credit councillors, you know, where they have advocated for residents and constituents, to have that reflected in the reports. We do try to, you know, take your point, Councillor Lacey, about, you know, a lot of repeats on coming up on these reports. We do try to cut those out and try to bring things to a conclusion, you know, initially, but it's not always possible. Maybe I'll let Neil jump in there just on some of the some other particular questions there, if he wants to, and I can come back as well. So.
Hi, councillors and the chairman. Just to let you know, like we are trying to clear down as many queries as possible for you. We do note that you are very know your areas, very know what the issues are on the streets, and we try to work with you where through an engineering solution for these areas. So, like, I'm just going to go through all the different people. Just to Councillor Mannix Flynn, I will liaise with the team about the school zone on St. Enda's. I'll see what to get them to reply to you. With the traffic on mitigating York Street, part of our we're looking at that area for some some measures as part of our program of works for this year. We're still trying to create up a list of jobs possible, and we'll probably be bringing it to the council next month. So we're still looking at that. With Diggs Lane, Mercer House flats, I'll have to look into that for you, Councillor Flynn. With regard to Casimir Road, I can't give a definite timeline on that at this very moment. But look, these lines only have to be put back in, so there's already stats in place and everything like that. So they should be able to go in with the bit just outside Casimir Court, though there is a few that is a new stat, so that has to go through the process, and I think it's recommended on this one as I'm recommended. So we'll take like usual like 9 to 12 weeks. But look, I will let the line marking team know that we're trying to get it in as fast as possible. Okay. Councillor Pat Dunn, with regard to the Harris Cross Sheffield stands, look, I'll have to follow up on that with our roadworks control team to see when that site has been complete. That site is completed, that way, and get the Sheffield stands put back in. Councillor Byrne on Grattan Street, I hope she's happy now after 2 years over Grattan Street. But look, we're moving things on, trying to get more work done. Councillor Karen Moore, requests on Crumlin Road. Oh yeah, your queries there. I will come back to you on them. That's what I'll have to go into. And Councillor Lacey, the stable parking bay at Burns Pharmacy, I'll have to look into that for you, and I'll come back to you. Okay?
And you'll have another look at Greenfield Park.
Yeah, and another look at Greenfield Park.
Okay.
And if you can just come back to all of us, Neil, on that disabled parking bay.
Yes, I have to look up on that for you all, and I'll come back to you.
Yeah. Okay. We're going back. We're not finished yet.
Okay. Just generally on repainting of line marking, it's weather dependent. It's dependent on other commitments for our line marking crews. Sometimes it can be done very quickly. Sometimes it takes a little longer. I think even linking into the question on Crumlin Road and a bit of an update on that, where we've asked that the repainting of all the line marking on the Crumlin Road be prioritised. We're looking to prioritise the one on Casimir Road as well. We'll try and get that done as soon as possible as well. On Crumlin Road, we've met the residents a second time and with the councillors, and the line marking, I think, has just was trying to clarify before the meeting here, but as far as I know, it has begun. We've done some intervention on near the bridge and taken on board some comments from that meeting with the local residents, and we're looking at some work on to see if we can do something there from those comments. We're also linking in with the Bus Connects team and to see what additional measures can be taken, and also the active travel group as well, and then ongoing monitoring of the traffic signals in the area as well. So if anybody has any queries on that, take them.
Can I just quickly on Casimir Court, and I appreciate the competing priorities, but the issue is there's no refuse collection happening from Casimir Court at the moment because the bin truck can't physically get in. And in addition to requesting that the parking lines would be repainted, I also have requested double yellow lines here too, because I think it's probably being a bit generous to people to say that they're parking where they're parking because the lines aren't clear enough. I think they're just parking illegally and inconsiderately, so just to bear that in mind. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm slightly confused. There is a joint motion number 6. Are we discussing that?
I'm going to talk about it now, and we'll take it. Go on,
we can take it here now.
Take it out.
And I want to thank Colin, Neil and the area manager, John McAviney, for having arranged the meetings with residents of the Crumlin Road who have massive concerns of the safety as a result of quite a number of accidents, including one fatality, unfortunately. So the importance of these issues is massive. It was decided at that meeting that we would contact the NTA to see if some of the Bus Connect's proposals could be brought forward, particularly as part of the Tallaght, Clondalk and the city centre Bus Connect's proposal. And the reply here, and I'm not blaming our traffic section whatsoever, because the reply was obviously would have been done up someday last week, but it goes on to say sort of that they're awaiting the decision of An Bord Pleanála in relation to the Tallaght, Clondalk and City Centre Bus Connect scheme. The closing date for submissions was last July, but that July date was brought forward to, I think it was nearly November, as a result of errors in some of the notices that was put up by the NTA. Sorry, that was the Kimmage one. There was also delays on this one, if I remember correctly. But I had a letter in the post, just to cut to the chase, a letter in the post this morning from An Bord Pleanála, because I had put a submission into An Bord Pleanála in relation to it, apologising that there would be a delay in relation to the inspector's report being finalised and the board coming to a decision. So where it states in the reply that you're expecting a decision date on the 8th of February, cancel that out. I think it's going to be much, much later this year before we have that reply. And in that context, I'm asking that this area committee and indeed the group that was set up with the Crumlin Road residents look at other ways of trying sort of to expedite the safety measures that we require on the Crumlin Road. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Pat. Fiona Connolly, I'm going to just let you know we're dealing with motion 6. Carolyn.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And Pat has kind of hit the nail on the head there in terms of the report that we've been given. Doesn't really answer the substantive request in the motion, which is that we want to collectively ask the NTA to extract that one junction piece and actually do it sooner. I just want to say as well, thanks to John, to Neil and to Colm for meeting with the residents and with ourselves, and acknowledge the significant progress has been made in terms of kind of the smaller interventions that we can do, but I acknowledge as well that on the Dublin City Council side, our hands are tied on the big picture improvements. I just want to mention as well, there was another crash at the weekend on the Crumlin Road. There was another cyclist injured on the bridge. We discussed this at our last meeting since the bollards were put in. I don't know, and I don't want to speculate on the cause of either accident, but really the regularity of accidents here is just shocking, and it continuously feels like we're just on a kind of a morbid countdown to another fatality, and no amount of small interventions is going to help without the overarching issue of the fundamental safety of that junction being addressed. So I'd like to ask that we would agree this motion today and write to the NTA as a committee and just impress upon them how urgently this particular junction needs to be tackled. If there's a plan there and a budget there to do it in the future, then there's no reason why it can't be expedited if it's a major safety concern, and it really is at this point. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Connolly.
I agree with accepting the report and really expediting the safety measures that just absolutely have to be put in place. Thank you.
Okay, there's a recommendation that the motion would be agreed, and how it's
agreed the motion.
How it's
please.
followed up on then is another issue. But you want to
motion agreed.
Okay. Okay. Any of the traffic officials want to say anything more? Okay, we're going to go back to motion 5. Just to you'll have an easy day today. I'm accepting the report on motion number 5. So motion number 11, Claire Byrne. They're not in sequence because we take the traffic motions together to save you time. Claire? James Street East. James Street East.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Thank you. And thanks a million for the reply, and I'm really happy to see that thanks a million, Brian, that an assessment was carried out and that you're looking at installing the 30 km/h signs outside. I think that'll be really, really helpful. I appreciate it's not wide enough to put traffic calming in, but I'm wondering if you could give any consideration to putting a lollipop person in there, even just for the morning times, because there's a significant amount of children entering into the school from that route, and they are, like, it is a safety risk to them. So it's a serious appeal from the the principal of the school to, if you could consider putting someone in place there, even just for the morning times, that would be great.
Can I just support that motion? I just know some people go to the school and the need for it, so if it can be. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think it's captured in the reply there, but we've asked the section within traffic that deal with the traffic wardens, can they have a look at it and consider reinstating the traffic warden there? So,
Thank you very much.
Great, thanks for the constructive traffic section of the meeting there. Long may that continue. Okay, thanks very much. Okay, we all do our best, but we sometimes have different roles to play.